What's the best sexual experience you've ever had? I would say when my girlfriend and I booked a hotel room that was in one of the tallest buildings in Shanghai. We were on a layover and were super horny, as we did not get a chance to have sex during the entire trip. As soon as we entered, huge hotel room with giant windows on the 80 floors, facing the night lights of Shanghai and Pudong. We literally tore our clothes off and had sex with the windows wide open, taking photos and recording it along the way. If anyone was in that office building across the street, they could have easily seen us. We did not care. Also, the bed was nice and soft AF. I told my ex-girlfriend that I have a foot fetish. She'd never been with a guy like that before, so she told to wait a bit before she tried anything with her feet. The following weekend I go over to her apartment, and she gives me the first foot job I ever experienced, and I had one of the best orgasms of my life. Come to find out she spent all week reading Q boards and watching foot porn to understand the technique. I could never come from a blowjob. A few girls thought they could, and got their pride hurt when they couldn't. It just wasn't my thing, I guess. Well, my wife took on herself one day, put her hand at my base, and told me to duck her face, and don't worry about hurting her. Her hand kept me from hitting the back of her throat, but let me do as I wanted. That was all it took, I guess. It was really something special, that she trusted me not to hurt her, and do what I felt need to get me off. Little backstory. Lost my virginity to an ex, and dated for 2 years. She was okay in bed. Nothing special. I didn't particularly enjoy the blowjobs, so I just assumed they weren't for me. Fast forward 2 years, and we're broken up. Bring a girl back from work, and we're fooling around. She decides to go down on me, and I roll my eyes, and say to myself, God, here we go. Turns out my ex was crap at blowjobs. I saw colors for the first time. Blow is rock. I was in a bar parking lot with a friend. She was up against her car, and I was leaning next to her. We started to make out a little bit. And after a while I unzipped and pulled her pants down a little and penetrated her. We started around 10 minutes until closing time. And unfortunately her car was parked right by the door. So all of a sudden, as I'm grinding her, all these people start to walk out. So I stop and have my arms around her, making it look like I was just hugging her. It was extremely intense, and we were laughing afterwards. Honeymoon. Sex on the balcony on one of those big comfy round outdoor couch things. It started raining halfway through, and we just kept on going. It was awesome. Ducking my ex-girlfriend with her on top. I had a finger in her ass while she was riding me. I could feel my own stick with my finger. I mean, I was high, but the idea itself, that I was inside of her and feeling myself inside of her from different holes, was mind-blowingly sexy. One of the best orgasms I've ever had. When I was 18, I was at this girl's house, and it was just me, her, and her friend. Out of nowhere. I had never hooked up with either of them. Girl 1 says, let's see how quick we can get Joda stone hard. Being 18, I was hard before she finished the sentence. And they proceeded to give me blowjob. Both of them. At the same time. Best 5 minutes of my life. I tried internet dating for the first time in my mid-20s. I met a woman in her mid-30s who had just recently got divorced. I think she got some kind of settlement. She bought a new car, a new condo, and a new set of tits, and was looking to spread her wings sexually. She was an emotional train wreck, but my god, could that woman ever duck? She was so wantonly sleazy in the bedroom. She would do anything I wanted. It was like having a personal sex robot. She had such an incredibly high motor. Even 25-year-old me couldn't keep up. There was absolutely no satisfying her once she got going. My penis would be waving a white flag and crying for help by the end of our trysts. Nothing too crazy. My wife and I gave each other full-on massages by candlelight, culminating in some very passionate ducking. When I was 19, I went skinny dipping with 2 girls at a creek. Got a BJ from both of them at the same time. One was teaching the other some techniques which I found particularly hot. Had a threesome with a British and Australian chick in Chiang Mai, Thailand while drunk off our ass. They took turns on me to see how many times I could ejaculate. Best time of my life. Probably the first time I smoked before having sex. We took our time with everything, and we were both able to finish multiple times, and afterwards we fell asleep while eating Little Caesars. 10. Duck it. I'll bite. One time my boyfriend and I ate a very large quantity of marijuana edibles. I don't know the milligrams. They were made by a friend. And started to have sex. The weed. Plus my incredibly low tolerance to weed. Plus my boyfriend's magic fingers. Resulted in an incredibly intense orgasm. Him talking, my eyes were closed. But I could see and feel colors radiating out of me. It was super. I was worried that sex wouldn't be the same sober after that. But luckily it's still been pretty great. Not rainbows coming out of my pus great. But still great. Edged with a girl over voice chat. She wouldn't come until I did. And vice versa. We are still going to this day. I hugged a girl once. I can't decide between two. I always wanted a threesome. So when I got to eat out a girl, while her BF ducked me from behind. That was pretty amazing. Ducking her with a strap-on was a huge fantasy I got to fulfill as well. Second is probably my first real experience with role play. I was dressed as Harley Quinn. Just a version for those who care. And he had me tied to the bed and blindfolded and pounded me like crazy. So, yeah. That was nice. The night my daughter was created, I remember falling asleep feeling safe and warm. Like love was pouring from my soul. And I was wrapped in love. Looking back, in that instant, I knew we created life. Less than 3 weeks later, I confirmed it. Life is funny. I banged Princess Diana so hard